Welcome back, everyone, and apologies for the delay. As we all know, gathering so many people from around the world during this time can be a little bit challenging, so we ask for your understanding. It's now time to sit back and enjoy the closing ceremony of the 2020 Geneva Health Forum. It has been an eventful and packed 3 days, and just to illustrate this, I'm going to bring up a few facts for you. In total, there were 21 sessions over the last 3 days, 140 innovations, 170 posters, and almost 2,000 participants from about 137 countries. This year was also a bit special because it was the first time taking place completely online, so we thank all our moderators and our guests for joining us despite the different time zones. And with that, I would now like to hand over to Antoine Flahault. He's the co-president of the Geneva Health Forum and director of the Institute of Global Health over at the University of Geneva. It's yours now.
Thank you, Olivia. And good afternoon, maybe good morning, everyone, wherever you are. And a great thanks to all the participants of this splendid edition of the Geneva Health Forum. Of course, it was completely unusual to have it online only, but it was fabulous to see how many of you attended to the sessions. Olivia, you just said 2,000, almost 2,000. It's almost twice as the figures we had at the previous editions. So really we enjoyed to have you online. You know, in a way, we had planned, of course, not that the pandemic will occur, but we had planned to a transition to this digital way of delivering a conference in global health. For environmental reasons, we thought that it was important that all of you, wherever you are, could meet at distance, could meet on this digital platform. Of course, we are so sorry not to have met many of you who live close to Geneva and who could have attended in a usual period. I also want to say that we did not talk only on COVID. All the discussions on COVID were great. And again, I thank all the speakers and all the participants who have participated to this movement and momentum. But we have also talking about planetary health, about cancer, about NTDs, neglected tropical disease, about digital health, and many other topics. So it was really the spirit of the Geneva Health Forum. In addition to that, I would like to say that some sessions, you mentioned that we had 21 sessions. Of course, we expected to have much more if we were on site at the CICG in Geneva. So for all these dropout sessions, if I can say that, from the initial program, we plan to reschedule them in the first semester of 2021. So nobody will be lost apart, and everyone will have the floor to continue the discussions on the same spirit. This is the spirit of Geneva, this place which is quite unique in the world, where global health meets, organize itself, propose, coordinate, collaborate to better health for all. So it is my great pleasure now to give the floor to our rector, Yves Flückiger. Good afternoon, dear Rector Yves.
Good afternoon.
And I would like just to say that together with HUG, the University Hospital of Geneva, the University of Geneva has created, conceived, supported from the early beginning the Geneva Health Forum. And it was a visionary initiative to think and to support global health at a time period where it was not so well known to speak about global health on the TV, media, and social networks and everywhere, as we are much more familiar today. Yves is also a great economist and has also a lot of insight and research done and thoughts on economy and also the economy of those who are the most vulnerable on the planet. So in a way, we are very close together in our research thoughts and activities. You are in economy, we are in health, both working for a better world. So Yves, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Antoine, for these very kind words. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it's my real pleasure to participate to this final session of the Geneva Health Forum. This year, more than ever, the University of Geneva, together with the Geneva Hospital, University Hospital, were convinced that we need a forum gathering all the key actors of global health and humanitarian action. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the steering committee, the program committee, and the operational team of the Geneva Health Forum for the organization of the forum fully in virtual, despite the huge constraints you had to face day after day in these very difficult times. I wish also to thank and congratulate all of you for your attendance and academic contribution to this 2020 edition, which made this very special edition fruitful and successful. Since its very first edition, it was in 2006, the Geneva Health Forum brings the key actors of the global health to discuss crucial global health challenges. In times of global health crisis and of endangered multilateralism, the Geneva Health Forum continued to bring together key actors of global health to discuss current global challenges such as the current pandemic, but not only. It has been said by Antoine. Others, such as universal health coverage, e-health, neglected tropical disease, SDGs, cancer of the impact of climate change, remain crucial global health challenges for which innovative, accessible, and sustainable practices are still needed to facilitate access to care and health equity. The COVID pandemic has opened a window of opportunity for universities to engage even more with society, support governments through research and innovation, and to help prepare a more resilient society. During the March lockdown, we mapped out our joint expertise and soon realized that academic expertise alone is not enough to respond to the COVID-19 crisis or to prevent future crises. Only a multi-stakeholder dialogue with international organizations and private sector can enable us to tackle current challenges and to provide options for shaping sustainable recovery pathways. Believing that only multilateral responses will make it possible to address the global crisis offset by the new coronavirus, the University of Geneva, organized in collaboration with the University of Zurich, the World Economic Forum, and selected international organizations, a one-day multi-stakeholder event to kick off a dialogue to build more resilient and responsive societies. Some of you were actively involved in this successful initiative. This very inspiring and stimulating cross-disciplinary dialogue showed that multi-stakeholder and multidisciplinary collaboration are really essential for disruptive ideas on a very disruptive situation. Transversality, therefore, contributes to make society more resilient. We need to build and modify narratives to create changes, particularly in moving from global to local and from local to global solutions. The University of Geneva remains committed to organize the next edition of the Geneva Health Forum and to hopefully welcome you all in Geneva, the capital of global health, offering a unique network of key stakeholders active in this field, but also in the promotion and protection of human rights and humanitarian actions, thus offering an exceptional platform for synergies and collaborations. I would like to conclude by reiterating my sincere thanks to all of you for your active participation in this 8th edition of the Geneva Health Forum. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you very much, dear Rector Yves Flückiger. Thank you also very much again for the support, the continuing support of the University of Geneva to this initiative. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Detlef Ganten. Guten Abend, lieber Detlef. Detlef is a great figure in global health in Europe. He has launched the initiative of the World Health Summit in Berlin every year in autumn. And also, he created a kind of think tank, which is, of course, close and back to the World Health Summit, which is the M8 Alliance. And we, I mean the University of Geneva, the University Hospital of Geneva, and the Graduate Institute of Geneva, we are belonging to this M8 Alliance thanks to the openness of Detlef Ganten. And more than that, Detlef is a very good friend. And we know each other for a long time now. And he has really created a spirit of global health all over Europe, in Germany, his own country, but all over the world, with a great network. This M8 Alliance is a great network of friends, of experts in global health. So, Detlef, the floor is yours, and thank you again for taking time in your busy agenda, in spite of a network connection which is not completely optimal. We are very happy to hear you now. Hopefully. We had some troubles with the connections with Berlin this afternoon, but I'm not sure we will succeed. I don't know.
I think that in this case, we can move on to our final speaker of the day. I'd like to welcome the Ambassador, Embassy of India in Switzerland, Monica Kapil-Mota. She joins us by video, and I think it's very fitting that we also have her to give a few words, since India is, of course, the honorary member this year of the Geneva Health Forum. If you caught us on the first day, we already did the lighting of the flame ceremony, so that was a really special way to kick things off. And with that, I'd like to hand over to you, Monica. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm pleased to address the closing ceremony of the 8th edition of the Geneva Health Forum. India was the guest of honor for this edition. The opening keynote speeches were made by the Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare of India, Dr. Harshvardhan, and Honorable Minister of State of Ayush, Shri Shripad Yesso Naik. A parallel plenary session took place on Indian traditional medicine systems integrating with modern medicine systems, wherein the focus was on Ayurveda and Unani systems of medicine. Short yoga video clips prepared by the National Institute of Ayurveda, Jaipur, were played during the various plenary sessions. I commend the Geneva Health Forum for the successful organization of its 8th edition. I'm convinced that the discussions held during the last 3 days, focusing on the theme improving access to health, learning from the field, will provide immense value addition to the global health landscape. Friends, India has been traditionally guided by the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, inscribed in our ancient scriptures. It means the world is one family. This spirit is reflected in the Government of India's endeavors when it is providing medical supplies to 150 countries in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis. Further, in these testing times, the people of India have taken a solemn resolve to build an Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliant India. When India speaks of becoming self-reliant, it does not advocate a self-centered system. In India's self-reliance, there is a concern for the whole world's happiness, cooperation, and peace. I quote from Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji's speech delivered in the UN General Assembly in September, and I quote, "As the largest vaccine-producing country of the world, I want to give one more assurance to the global community today. India's vaccine production and delivery capacity will be used to help all humanity in fighting this crisis." Unquote. Friends, the Indian traditional systems of medicine are also contributing to the fight against the prevailing pandemic. The Ministry of Ayush has issued the National Clinical Management Protocol based on Ayurveda and Yoga for management of COVID-19. Guidelines for COVID-19 have also been issued for practitioners of various Ayush streams of medicine, that is Ayurveda, Yoga and Naturopathy, Unani, Siddhi and Homeopathy. The Embassy of India in Bern is an Ayush information cell, and we would welcome all of you who would like to learn more about the Ayush systems of medicine. Dear friends, it is also pertinent for me to mention about the excellent bilateral relations between India and Switzerland. We share a long history of warm and cordial relations. India attaches great significance and priority to its relationship with Switzerland. The strength of our long-standing dynamic partnership is underpinned by our common values of democracy, pluralism, innovation, and entrepreneurship. The quick succession of high-level visits between our two countries indicates the depth of our bilateral relationship and the importance India lays in nurturing its ties with Switzerland. The Honourable President of India has undertaken a state visit to Switzerland last year in September, during which a bust of Mahatma Gandhi was inaugurated in Villeneuve. Ayurveda and yoga also connect India and Switzerland. I am told that it is difficult to find any village in Switzerland which does not have a few yoga enthusiasts. Friends, with these words, I would again like to congratulate the Geneva Health Forum for the successful organization of its 8th edition. I also thank all the participants who joined this edition in large numbers virtually. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Antoine Flahaux, now you have been keeping your eye out on this Geneva Health Forum and tuning into all the sessions this year. Why don't you take the floor and give us your final words and what you've taken away from the past 3 days?
Yeah, thank you very much, Olivia. And before moving to giving the floor to the young students, PhD candidates for the speed talk, I would like to give a couple of thanks for the organization of this Geneva Health Forum. I would like first, of course, to thank the committee of chairwoman, Nicole Rosset, and chairman, Antoine Gesbuller. I also would like to thank Eric Comte and Jelena Milenkovic. Both are working as executive director of the Geneva Health Forum, which is quite a difficult organization when we have to move in these pandemic times. I would like, of course, to thank also Bertrand Joher and Elisa Laget, the SEMPORG organization, and also Point Prod, and particularly you, Olivia Chang, because for the whole sessions you were someone so important for all of us, a figure everyone recognized and say, oh, that's the Geneva Health Forum now. It's time to go. And I would like to thank the institutions, the organizations. Of course, I said the University Hospital of Geneva. I also said the University of Geneva. But all our partners, and we have a lot of partners, we were completely committed from the beginning to reschedule, to organize the sessions, and so on. So all the partners who sponsored, promoted, organized some sessions during these 3 days, you are we are very, very grateful for all the work you did. So thank you, all of you. And now I give again the floor to Olivia to start this speed flash talk session.
Thank you very much, Antoine. Now, hang in there because we will be bringing you the science talk very shortly. Stay with us. Thank you. Now, I did say it was the closing ceremony, but it's not quite the end just yet. We have a bit of a special surprise planned for you for everyone, so please stay online for this part because we really need your input and your participation for the Geneva Health Forum. It's going to be an interactive session and we will need your input. So this year, we are finishing with the science speed talks. How does it work? I'm going to give the floor to Antoine Flahot now, who will walk us through step by step the rules of the game.
Thank you, Olivia. So now the floor will be to our young researchers. And the PhD candidates sent some videos which were pre-selected first, and 3 of them were selected for the final round. And today it is the final round. So in 3 minutes only, they will give a talk on their research work. So they are all PhD candidates. This initiative is sponsored by the Swiss School of Public Health, but all of our candidates selected today are not belonging to the Swiss School of Public Health. Some of them are. And after that, there will be a session of question and answer, one question by one expert. And I thank the experts for being here or remotely to send their questions to the candidate. And after, each of you, participants of these sessions, you will have a right to vote. You know, in Switzerland, we like to vote, and here you will vote for the best. From the beginning, you will be able to vote on your screen from the early beginning, but you will have 3 minutes after the 3 talks to potentially change your mind and vote for another of the 3. So the best presentation will be awarded by the Jet d'Or de Genève just after. So I give the floor again to Olivia for introducing the first candidate.
Thank you, Antoine, and thank you for explaining all the rules. Remember, you can already start voting, and at the very end, you can also change your vote. So stay with us there. Now, let's dive into the science talk. I'd like to welcome our first student of the day. His name is Dafa Al-Salah. We're going to bring up a slide on the screen so you can get a better picture of just who he is. A bit of his background: his bachelor's was actually in fire protection engineering. He then decided to change course and switch to environmental microbiology. He says, sure, this was a bit tough at the beginning because it was completely new waters for him, but now he's actually doing his PhD at the University of Geneva. And fun fact, in addition to biology, his other passion is writing jokes and doing open mic stand-up comedy. So maybe if we're lucky, we might be able to hear a joke from him. Dafa, you now have exactly 3 minutes to deliver your presentation.
Hello and welcome. Nearly 3 million cases and 35,000 deaths are attributed to antibiotic-resistant bacteria in 2019 in the US alone. And you might think those numbers are high. But unlike the US and the developing world, wastewater treatment plants do not exist, and the right infrastructure to direct these wastewaters safely into a system of some sort doesn't exist. So the wastewaters are a hot spot for antibiotic resistance, and therefore when it is not managed properly, antibiotic resistant spread to irrigation water, drinking water, and find its way to our food network. And antibiotic resistance is such a serious issue for a number of reasons. And because it would halt our progress as a human beings and will send us back to the dark ages, where a simple infection, what we call ordinary today, would eventually kill you. And high mortality rates from the resistant pathogens, and it costs money and puts a financial burden by prolonged hospitalization periods and by the switch to more expensive antibiotics and different courses of antibiotics. And so it's not a single issue with the antibiotic resistance. It's like a spider web that spreads around to all sorts of issues. And it's a threat to global stability, as I explained now. So I'd like to compare it to COVID-19 because it's something that we went through and what we relate to. So COVID is a virus, bacteria is a bacteria, so it's a totally different animal, for a lack of a better word. But the point stands, and it is the possibility or the risk of contracting an untreatable disease. So the stock market lost about 30% within the first month of the COVID. A lot of lockdowns, restrictions, and this consumption-based economy that we live in just took a heavy blow. And whether we like it or not, bacteria do not use passports, but people do. So we'll put restrictions on the movements, like what we saw with a lot of countries. And so we investigated the hospital wastewaters and found out that they supply significant amounts of antibiotic-resistant bacteria and genes to the sediments and the waters. And subsequently, we went to and investigated the irrigation water and the vegetable produce from these compromised waters. And we found out that a high risk of infections from multiple resistant pathogens. And I'd like to end my talk by saying, like global warming, this is not a national responsibility, but an international one. Thank you for listening. That's all for me.
So thank you very much for condensing that into 3 minutes for us. I'd like to turn to our first judge, who is Pascal Vonesh. What is the question that you would like to pose to Dafa?
So thanks a lot for this very nice 3 minutes talk. My question would be, what is actually the most important driver of antimicrobial resistance globally? So is there a driver that is really the one that we should target in future interventions?
There's a lot of factors and drivers that would. So there's no control on antibiotic prescription in a lot of countries. In Switzerland, there is a restriction on antibiotics prescriptions, but the rest of the world, not so much. And that's one of them. And the treatment of of wastewaters is very important, because these resistance makes it to the drinking water, to the irrigation water, and to our food network, and subsequently us.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. We now have to move on to our very second student of the day. Her name is Maria Lazo. She comes from Peru, and as you can see on your screen very shortly in the picture, she's with her parents and her 3 brothers. She studied medicine at the Universidad Peruana Cayetano Heredia. Forgive me for my pronunciation. She's now a PhD student at the University of Geneva after applying for the Swiss Excellence Government Scholarship. She says that she's a straightforward and practical person who enjoys and values teamwork. She's a problem solver, but also has a good sense of humor. So we see that we do have a few comedians in the room tonight. Maria, you have exactly 3 minutes, as usual, to present your idea now.
Hi, my name is Maria Lazo. I am going to tell you about the Cohesion Project and the lessons learned about co-creation, developing a complex intervention in rural Peru. In global health, it's important to ensure the sustainability of interventions and processes. One method to achieve this goal is co-create them with the stakeholders. Cohesion is a multi-country project conducted in Mozambique, Nepal, and Peru. It includes a formative phase with a policy analysis, a health system assessment, and a community health perception study. After this phase, a co-creation process was conducted. The final goal was to co-create interventions to improve the diagnosis and management of hypertension, diabetes, and neuropsychosis in 2 rural areas from rural Peru. In the project, we use an adapt and manual developed for conduct this process. The first step of co-creation had 2 consultations with community health workers, opinion leaders, regional health officers, and national decision makers. We held a prioritization phase with different strategies into the stakeholders group, and we applied tools to consider impact, feasibility, and sustainability. we had feedback about the process from an advisory board. Then the cohesion team held a multi-country meeting to work more in the intervention development. And during this meeting, we realized the importance of having a theoretical framework to guide our intervention development. The project team adapted the World Health Organization responsiveness framework, which includes 7 domains like clear communication, dignity, and confidentiality, domains that resonate with the type of barrier we had identified during the formative phase. After, communities and health workers agree with the select framework and provide feedback to end up with our final intervention. These include training focus in chronic diseases and soft skills to health providers, a grant provided to the community so they can improve something to the infrastructure of the health facility. And finally, we plan to develop radio programs to provide information about the disease prevention and management. Through this process of co-creation, key lessons were identified. These include the skill set of the research team, interaction with the stakeholders, the importance of an advisory board, need for a theoretical framework, and the role of the funder. For researchers, the process of co-creation was a challenge due to the investment of time and effort in comparison to other research approaches. Another challenge was working with the stakeholders to generate ideas for interventions that could be feasible to implement. The strengths of this approach were that stakeholders were key informants, then they get involved in the process of development, and finally will become users of interventions. They see and participate the complete research process, not only one piece of the project. We truly believe that this may impact the success of the intervention, implementation, and its sustainability. Muchas gracias.
So Blaise Janton, you're the expert for this case. What's the question that you would like to pose to Maria now?
Thank you very much for your talk. Very interesting, very important to involve a lot of stakeholders. I would like to know what is the impact of the COVID pandemic on your project and how will you handle that in the future?
Yeah. Thank you. Suddenly, this project had 2 phases. It's a project funded by SNF and SDC under the R4D program. This project is the first phase of the project, and suddenly the second phase was not funded. So we had to finish the project at this point, and we are looking for funding for implement our interventions in these 2 rural areas from Northern Peru.
Thank you very much for that. And finally, diving into our 3rd student of the evening, Georgy Mushorovsky. He's a PhD student at Sechenov Moscow State Medical University. His fields of interest include oncology, statistics, entrepreneurship. He has learned JavaScript and Python and also created apps to help students get through their biology and chemistry exams. He loves cooking, playing jazz, piano, and cooking and following recipes from Gordon Ramsay. Georgy, it's now your turn to finally present your ideas in just 3 minutes.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I've prepared a short presentation, but I guess it's just not going to show up, but I had some interesting figures. Nonetheless, okay, so the theme of my work is to estimate the trends of oncologic incidence and mortality in Russia by the year 2035. This is actually a part of my larger work, that my PhD work, in which we try to find out the requirement in oncological specialists in Russia by the year 2035. So, in order to do this first step, we decided to use the method of age-period cohort modeling, which is the method that is used extensively in Nordic countries to predict oncological statistics. This method is much better than using any types of linear regression because this is quite a complex method which accounts for trends decaying over time. It also estimates separately the patient age at the time of the diagnosis, date of birth of the patient, and the year when the cancer was diagnosed, thus accounting for any environmental exposures that could affect cancer incidence and mortality during that year or in that patient cohort. So, what we have found out is that by year 2035, there's going to be an increase in crude rates of incidence of cancer in Russia by 50%, from 420 cases now to 600 cases by per 100,000 of population. This is going to be a huge increase of workload on oncological healthcare in Russia, and it definitely requires training additional oncological specialists and building additional oncological hospitals right now in the upcoming years. Speaking about other parameters, such as age-adjusted oncological incidence, we found out that it's going to stabilize by the year 2025, probably suggesting that the halting of aging of general Russian population. Speaking about mortality, we found out that an increase of about 10% is going to happen in crude rate of mortality from cancer, from 200 to 220 cases per 100,000 of population. But the age standardized rates declined steadily the last 20 years, and they're going to decline in the same manner the upcoming 15 years. Well, and I also want to talk about the top 5 cancers by incidence and mortality in Russia by the year 2035. Well, by incidence, the most incident cancer is going to be non-melanoma skin cancer, which is also the first most common cancer now, followed then by breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, and colon cancer. Speaking about the most lethal cancers in terms of oncological mortality, the most important is going to be lung cancer, followed by colon cancer, then gastric, pancreatic, and breast cancer. And well, the gastric cancer requires a special note. Although it's going to be the third most common cause of cancer death in 2035, actually, for the reasons poorly researched, now the incidence of gastric cancer in Russia is 2 to 3 times higher than in any of other European countries, probably due to excessive smoking prevalence, or maybe due to underdiagnosed peptic ulcer disease. Nevertheless, we see a very steep decline in gastric cancer incidence and mortality, and we hope that our projections would meet the real observations. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my little presentation. I would be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for dissecting that for us. Muriel Bushu is our next expert. And what would you like to ask Georgi?
Thank you very much for this nice presentation. Given the foreseen very strong increase in the burden of cancer in Russia, what do you see as public health intervention to prevent cancer that could have a strong public health impact?
Well, first of all, of course, we need to try more in the field of smoking prevention, because the smoking lobby is quite strong in Russia, and the measures taken in this field, I think, are quite weak, actually, weak to none. Also, well, I think that struggling with alcohol use is also going to help, again, due to lowering the incidence of gastric cancer, probably, and also pancreatic cancer. We see that it's going to be much more prevalent in the upcoming years, and it's also going to have the same mortality, about the same mortality as it has now. This cancer is diagnosed lately, and it's very hard to treat, and struggling with smoking and alcohol use is going to help greatly to lower the burden of the disease. I think these are the main measures.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to everyone for delivering their presentation and also their very concise answers. For the audience and everyone tuned in, Now it's your turn. We want all of you to get involved and pick your favorite idea or research simply by choosing on the right-hand side of your screen. All you need to do is just choose one of the 3 pictures. We'll be giving you exactly 3 minutes to do this, to revise your choices. And in the meantime, I'd like to just turn to Antoine and say, you mentioned at the very beginning, and you're talking about the Swiss School of Public Health. How critical is it having this body?
Thank you, Olivia, for these questions. When you are finalizing your votes, I will give you a short personal experience. I was a former dean of the French School of Public Health. And the French School of Public Health is the unique school of a very centralized country. It trains doctors, pharmacists, and other health professionals, directors of hospitals for the whole country. When I came to Switzerland, I was proposed to join the directorate, and I am one of the deputy directors. There is one for the French-speaking part, one for the German-speaking part, and one for the Italian-speaking part. Of course, we are representing all the schools of public health and global health in Switzerland. It is completely a different model. It's not a centralized country. Switzerland is a really federal country, and the universities are very independent, and they are funded by the cantons, and there is no option in Switzerland to say you should do that or you should make your research on that and that. So the training programs, everything is from the cantons, from the universities themselves. So the Swiss School of Public Health is a kind of umbrella association, foundation, which just try to promote the training and the research and to coordinate it in public health. During the pandemic, there was a very, very important initiative, which is named Corona Immunitas, which is self-funded and funded by many partners, but just on a kind of crowdsourcing proceeding. And it allows to test antibodies in the Swiss population. So that was an initiative, a research initiative from the Swiss School of Public Health. And the Swiss School of Public Health proposed to the candidates in the doctoral programs to benefit from the others. Our own universities are very strong in several domains. They may not be so strong in all the domains of public health and global health. So some of us in Lausanne, for instance, they are very strong in non-communicable disease. In Basel, they are very strong in tropical disease and also in global health. In Geneva, we are stronger probably in global health also, thanks to the unique site of Geneva. In Zurich, they are very skilled in clinical research and statistics, in Burns in epidemiology. In Lugano, they are strong in economics. In a way, we accumulate the competencies and we take advantage in this virtual campus of all the competencies around Switzerland and elsewhere. And of course, we are growing, and now we are associating nurses and other schools of University of Applied Science, which are also very engaged in public health and global health.
Well, thank you very much, Antoine. I think you broke that down very nicely for us. And as we understand, it's a very important umbrella association to bring all the cantons together. I believe that we have received the name of the winner. And so without further ado, I would like to announce Georgi Misharovsky. You have won the Science Speed Talk. So thank you very much for that very concise explanation, and a big congratulations to you. If you would like to say a few words.
Well, I actually didn't think about that I would be the definite winner to just think through my speech possible. But well, I find that actually I don't know what actually to say. Something that is quite smart and interesting. I do what I like. I like statistics, and this is the path that led me here. But well, speaking from my field of work, First of all, of course, I think that COVID-19 is a great, let's say, even catastrophe that happened with our world, that stagnated our economics and led to complications in healthcare systems. But well, we should also not forget about other diseases, because again, in Russia, I see that sometimes people forget about different non-communicable diseases. They forget about cancer and just speak only and concentrate only on COVID-19. Of course, we should take all the other diseases into consideration and plan future measures to struggle with them. Hopefully, we will fight completely COVID-19 soon, and then the life will get back to normal, and we'll have to struggle again with cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and with cancer. That's very important, well, I don't know what to say more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Georgi, for all those final words, and I wish you all the best of luck for the next steps in your research. Now, for the final part of the session, we are going to close off the 2020 Geneva Health Forum as by heading over to the Health Forum Awards. And with that, Antoine, I think that you have a few words to say on that.
Thank you, Olivia. Yes, I would like to introduce the former rector of the University of Geneva, Jean-Dominique Vassalli. Is Jean-Dominique Vassalli online? Yes, Jean-Dominique. Good afternoon. Thank you again for being with us. And Jean-Dominique Vassalli is also the president of the Fondation Privée des HUG, which is the foundations which support these awards, and we thank a lot the Fondation Privée des HUG. And I give the floor to Jean-Dominique. You will award now three awards, three prizes. One for the posters, the best posters. Again, same spirit as before. It has been voted by all the participants. After, you will have to award the Prix de l'Innovation, so the best innovation, which was presented during the forum. And after, we will have the great prize, the great award, the Grand Jet d'Or de Genève, and the designated person has been selected, nominated by the partners of the Geneva Health Forum. So, Jean-Dominique, the floor is yours. We don't hear you. Maybe you are on mute. No, we still don't hear you. Yes, we still don't hear you. Yes, it seems.
Hello, do you hear me? My microphone is on. Hello?
We hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you now.
Oh, okay, sorry, thank you. So, yes, I wanted to say that I'm very glad to be with you all today. The Geneva Health Forum is a very special event that has been carried by the Geneva hospitals and the University of Geneva for many years, and the Fondation Privée des Geneva University Hospital has been a partner, minor partner, nevertheless an enthusiastic partner of this operation for many years, I would say. This foundation is here to funnel resources, funding from private, therefore the name private, donors, individuals, patients, it can be corporations, other foundations, to research and to patient care in the hospital or research in the Faculty of Medicine. So it's a foundation with many activities, and supporting the Geneva Health Forum is one important activity because, of course, the Geneva Health Forum is a special event of very broad significance worldwide, and therefore the foundation is very happy to be here in this on this occasion. So I've been given the privilege to name the winners of 3 awards, and I must say it's very fitting to do this in a virtual fashion. Nevertheless, let me do it. And the first award is the Poster Award. And this Poster Award is for a project, the title of which is a project to improve mental health care in 2 small centers in Kenya, Narok County and Tharaka Nithi County. And the winner of this award is Isabella Dochter. This project, this poster, which I looked at with great interest, actually has many interesting and important considerations. 2 of them, I think, are worth underlining is that to improve mental health, it's important first to really assess what we're talking about, assess the local situation, assess how to improve mental health before embarking in any specific activity. And second aspect, which is also extremely important, is training of the health workers so as to learn how to deal with mental health. So I think this poster is a rich contribution to this very important subject, and therefore I'm very happy that Isabella Dochter received this prize. So, Antoine, I don't know how you will now hand over virtually or physically the prize.
Thank you, Jean-Dominique. So Isabella.
Thank you, Jean-Dominique. So Isabella.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be here and very grateful to receive this award. I cannot wait to share this amazing news with my Kenyan friends who have been involved in this project. I'm happy to have the opportunity to express my thanks to the Geneva Health Forum organization and to all the participants, and also to the 2 no-profit organizations, Consolata and Cotolengo Association, that allow me to operate in the 2 rural hospitals in the Meru County and the Tharaka Nithi County. So this work has only begun, and I am very pleased for the importance and the highlight that the Geneva Health Forum is given to this ambitious project, whose aim is to improve the mental health care. So thank you again for your appreciation. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Isabella.
Merci. Thank you very much.
So Jean-Dominique, you can take the floor again, but we don't hear you again.
You can take the floor again, but we don't hear you again.
That's out of my control.
It's okay now.
We hear you perfectly now.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to express my congratulations to Isabella and to ask her to convey to her colleagues and the people who is working with the approval and of the Geneva Health Forum and all the people that have been involved. Now, the next prize is given for innovation, and the Innovation Award is given to a project called Beaky. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but that's the way I would say so. Beaky is a tool which generates its own Wi-Fi network and can be used in remote areas without access to internet. And you can all imagine how useful a tool of this kind can be to use a platform of exchange and interaction between teachers and students. And although nothing probably beats physical close interactions, I think being able to do so in a virtual way or with the enriched use of Wi-Fi and access to those kinds of approaches, how interesting this is. So I'm very happy that this innovation can bring modern technology to areas where it's sometimes difficult to bring it there. So congratulations, Beaky.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really happy. I think, sorry now. My name is Sergio Stupinian. I am the co-founder and PhD candidate in education science at the TECFA Lab at the University of Geneva. Vincent Widmer and I, we are the co-founders of this spin-off of the university, and honestly, we are very thrilled, and we'd like to thank you all for voting us as the best innovation of GHF 2020. It's honestly a great honor for us. The topic of the GHF 2020 was improving access to help learning from the field. And it is particularly that last bit that we excel and we love doing at BK. So we believe that educational technologies could offer this great potential by enabling collaborative strategies and strategies for also effective learning. Yet bringing those educational technologies to weak infrastructure settings such as no or weak internet access or even power cuts is often impossible. And we just even saw that even in Switzerland, it's a bit of a problem in connectivity. So it's far from solved. So basically at Biki, we create resilient tools like the Biki Box that you have here with me. It's a portable learning platform that works without internet. And we provide also the capacity building to basically not only learn from the field, but also learn in the field. And yeah, just today more than ever, I think ensuring the continuity of quality education is essential to strengthening this resilience of societies in the face of adversity. So thank you so much for this vote, and we are super thrilled to continue ahead with our journey.
Again, my congratulations for this. Again, it's for the teamwork, and please relate to your colleagues and both our approval for your project and also our encouragement for further developments and further innovations.
Thanks a lot.
So, Antoine, if you agree, I will now like to give the Grand Jet d'Or Award.
It is time to do that now.
It is time to do that now.
Okay, so the Grand Jet d'Or, it's the major prize in this operation, as you know, and the person who wins this award is a pioneer for her research work on the etiology of fevers, a work that has triggered a very important, very decisive change in the management of febrile illnesses in low and middle income countries. She has developed and she manages big programs in these countries using algorithms coupled with a surveillance system. She has worked in particular in Tanzania, Kenya, Senegal, India, and Myanmar. She's also active in Switzerland, in the Canton de Vaud, and she advises the local government in the COVID strategy. She in fact developed, and she has a local high recognition for this program, device that I say called Corona Check. It's a web-based system to make appropriate choices, both for the public and for the professionals, in the diagnosis of surveillance, let us say, of COVID. And this tool has been translated in 10 languages, and it's widely used both in Switzerland and much more broadly internationally. She has also led, or she leads actually, unfortunately, it's still going on, 2 major studies on SARS-CoV-2 prevalence and new diagnostic strategies. And she's a leading figure also in climate change and health issues. So you might well imagine that she's a real personality in the global health field. So for all these reasons and for many other good, excellent reasons, she's an outstanding candidate for this Grand Jet d'Or 2020. I have spoken about Valérie Dacremont, who's the winner today.
A very special message. Valérie Dacremont is actually in the studio, so we'd like to give her the prize in person, of course.
Thank you so much, Antoine. D'accord, je tiens fort. Ah oui, effectivement.
And if you would like to say a few words here.
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, très bien. Je ne vais pas le renverser. So I'm very honored and moved that the partners and the committee of the forum have decided to award me this prize. All the work I'm doing now on the COVID pandemic is in fact based on my experience in Africa. So I really thank all my colleagues from Tanzania who have taught me my job all over the years. And we have also learned from the digital tools we developed there for the tools we now use for COVID. And on COVID, I have learned humility, because every time we think we have understood something, in fact, we have to restart from zero, rethink. I have learned about simplicity, because to take care of this virus, we don't need so much technology. We need the basic elements of life. We need water to wash our hands. We need oxygen to breathe, healthy food to avoid complication of the virus, and obviously a small piece of cloth that Antoine told us how to create from the very beginning of this story. I learned about solidarity, because only the collective effort, the transgenerational, the transprofessional, trans-social and trans-nation alliance will enable us to get out of this pandemic. And above all, I learned listening, really trying to enter the other person's world in order to understand their point of view, because we have to take it into account to make this very difficult decision for the COVID pandemic. These decisions have impact on our daily life, not so much on our bodies, but in fact our secret hope for our future life. And for the future, I think we really have to put all our efforts and energy for our number one public health priority, which is mitigating the effects on our health of global warming and the loss of biodiversity, which is one of the major causes of this pandemic. And this is a big worry for the new generation. I greet all my young colleagues from Lausanne and Basel who are presently based in Tanzania, in Rwanda, in Kenya. They will soon go to India. They work hand in hand with our colleagues from the south without any screen in between, fortunately. And all what we learned together on this epidemic, we now have to implement it together to do everything that is necessary to preserve the climate and life, without which we simply cannot exist. So we owe it to ourselves, to our children, to animals, and to the earth. So I wish a long life to global health and planetary health.
Thank you very much, Valerie, for this very uplifting message to end our closing ceremony. And as mentioned, this brings us to the very final end of the Geneva Health Forum 2020. Antoine, I'm sure you can agree, you've been keeping your eye out throughout all these sessions, that it really has been a worthwhile amount of 3 days. And we've had so many in-depth discussions, so many guests coming from all around the world. Despite some technical difficulties, we managed to have some very interesting and engaging discussions. And at the end of the day, it's so important that all of you got to take part and at least take one or few things away from the past 3 days. Now, something very exciting, we've actually already planned for the next 9th edition of the Geneva Health Forum. So if you have your phone in front of you, your calendar in front of you, make sure to take out your pen and already mark in the dates May 3rd to 5th, 2022. I know it seems a bit far away, but it's going to spring up on us sooner than expected. Pencil that date in, and we look forward to seeing you all again very shortly. Good evening and take care.